Today's tutorial is good, and for today, we will be making a comparison between porcelain and polymer clay and moldable foamy. They are three masses that are very different from each other and all are used to make dolls for modeling. But each one has a specific characteristic. We will begin. Speaking of porcelain, with porcelain, we can be doing it in our homes. It is achieved. It has white. It comes in colors. It even comes in some different types of white. You can see it. It has this characteristic when you pull it. It stretches a little. It is very soft. To handle, it dries more or less in about 24 hours. When you generate your product, your doll, what you are going to do if it is thin, it can dry faster. But if it is very thick, it can take more or less 24 hours if you are in a climate that is very hot. It dries faster if you in a climate that is very humid. It will take much longer to dry. It has the characteristic that you can thin it quite a bit so that it is very fine. You can make very delicate rose flowers with this doll hair, and they are very cool to work with. Once the product is uncovered, you must keep it very well stored because it can dry very easily. We continue. Then with the polymer clay. Polymer clay comes in this presentation. Some slightly wider blocks are very expensive. Comparison of porcelain, these two little pieces can cost the equivalent of what? A pound of porcelain. Even porcelain can cost even less if it is very expensive, but it has great advantages over it. Is very similar to plasticine, is very hard, so you have to knead it. You have to work hard enough so that with the heat of your hands it begins to soften and then it begins to be more malleable. At first it is very hard, and at first it is very hard. So you have to do it gently until seed has the advantage that very thin figures can also be worked on. It melts very easily. When cut crazy one piece on top of another, it melts very easily. The colors are very sharp, very strong. You can do the millefiori technique and it's very nice because you can work this technique that are based on marinas or cat. If you want, I can leave them here on a little card. The video of how to make the marinas is a technique that is very nice. So here with this, you can work things in great detail, but because of the cost, you almost always have to make pieces that are very small, so it is very useful to do things of jewelry when you put it on metallic things. It works very well, so you can make earrings, jewelry, some dolls, necklaces, and things like that. You have to bake that. Yes, you have to bake. Well, porcelain dries in the air, but it has a disadvantage, and that is that once baked, yes, it is hit, it cracks very easily. It breaks very easily. In this sense, the porcelain is a little finer than polymer clay. Let us remember, porcelanicron is the same as flexible paste pasta, like French pasta, and well then, they come in different colors. You can also find polymer clay in white to paint it after baking. It comes in different colors. There are many tools that are sold for this. They come up very expensive, but well, that is basically like polymer clay. You can do a little more research. There are many things that can be discussed about this. Well, here I can show you some marinas that I had done tests some time ago. What an advantage these little tubes have a design throughout the shape, so that every time you cut you will find the same design. This will sometimes help you to make, say, some beads for jewelry, or they can also be used to cover surfaces where you want the same pattern to be repeated. Then you can make shapes like flowers, but that is called millefiori technique. And when you use the morin as or the cat in another technique called millefiori, a lot of flowers. So you can have little flowers made which is when you cut them. Then you can fill in a surface for this. It is also very good something that is very difficult to do with porcelain. I have tried it. I have actually tried here. I have one that I made to be able to use it. I had to leave it for several days as it dried a little. Or it can also be placed in the fridge, but the disadvantage is that when you cut them, the design tries to run a little, then it disappears a little when it has been allowed to dry. Because the design remains a little, but it still looks half blurred, and in any case, since there are already some dry edges, then it can no longer be used except to make beads for jewelry. It is a very good one idea, and it is also very nice when we work with this. But it is good for making jewelry beads. And finally then we find the moldable foamy. This is Como the product as the most recent in quotes that are the two previous ones are a little older. There. Moldable foamy has the advantage that it stretches a lot when you knead it and stretch it stretches a lot. But at the beginning it is too soft, like very watery, then it is very difficult to handle, then sometimes it is difficult to make it hang. And it has a disadvantage that when it dries it remains flexible. But over time, it dries a lot and then what you move can break. It has already happened to me. It also happens that, yes, if you don't work it on time, it dries out and then the product is lost. Wow. You can have polymer clay for as long as you want, and it won't dry out because it's like plasticine. But porcelain and foam are flexible if you leave it on the outside. If it hardens and dries well, then that's basically me really to moldable foamy. Because I haven't found many uses. In fact, I'd like you to tell me here. What do you see with the moldable foamy? I have seen it more as to complement some foamy things that are made, for example, some dolls, some fafuha. So you can make some applications with this foamy to improve them, and you can make dolls like the ones we make in porcelain. They can make fafulapas, also pen decorations can also be made. Only that it is a little more delicate to work well. I hope you like this comparison between these three products that I wanted to do, because when I teach classes, they usually ask me a lot. And you can doing it in moldable foamy can be done in this other one. I always clarify. What I do is porcelain, it can be done in moldable foamy. It's the same. Only that when the moldable foamy dries, the porcelain becomes spongy. So it's very, very hard. Well, if you have any questions, write me. I will be answering. And you have something else to add to that, also please write IB. It is very important that your opinion is seen to also help others. I wanted to do this little review or that little comparison, but I think you can be expanding. If you have more ideas too, contribute, so I hope you give it a like, leave many comments. That can help other people who are watching this video. And also that you leave me questions that I will be answering in another video in a moment. So see you in the next tutorials. Bye bye.